Hey everyone, welcome to the ranking. Here's my ranking of Chris Hemsworth's movies. Yes, I'm going to do a ranking of all of Mr. Hemsworth's movies. The good Hemsworth, Christopher, or Chris. Yes, Chris Hemsworth actually is coming out with a new movie this week, Ghostbusters. Yep, I'm going to be seeing that movie in a few days, so look forward to that review. I'm hearing some good things about it. I really am. I'm not joking about that. But yeah, so yeah, to celebrate his, I guess, new movie, let's do a ranking of all of his movies from my least favorite to my favorite. Yes, I did Chris Evans and now Chris Hemsworth. Who knows, maybe I'll do all the Avengers. But yeah, anyways, here's my ranking of all of Chris Hemsworth's movies from my least favorite to my favorite. Alright, coming at number 14 is a piece of shit comedy, Vacation. Yes, Vacation had no laughs at all. Yes, no laughs at all in this movie. It was awful. Just so awful. Yes, Ed Helms is in this movie. Christina Applegate. I think Leslie Mann's in it. Chevy Chase. Beverly D'Angelo. And Chris Hemsworth. He's not big in it, but I'm going to count it because he is still a character in the movie. And he's completely wasted. He's basically in this movie to show that he's a good-looking dude, and that's all he does. This movie was hands down the worst comedy of last year. I hated this movie, and I hate Chris Hemsworth in the movie, and it's the worst movie he's ever done. Coming number 13 is Red Dawn. Yes, another remake slash, I guess, sequel of a classic 80s movie. Yes, Vacation was a sequel. This one is a remake of Red Dawn, Wolverines. The original Red Dawn was kind of a stupid movie, but it was entertainingly stupid. This movie's just stupid. Yes, Chris Hemsworth is in this movie. This is when we're trying to get all the good Chris Hemsworth movies out. This wasn't one of them. This movie is a derivative, dull, horribly acted movie. The action is horrible. The direction is horrible. You got Josh Peck, Josh Hutcherson. You got Chris Hemsworth, and just all these actors, and they're all terrible. There are no Emilio Estevez or Patrick Swayze, and they sucked out all the fun of Red Dawn. Red Dawn is a stupid movie, but it's fun to watch. This movie is not fun to watch. Coming number 12 is Black Hat. Black Hat is probably the most boringest movie that came out last year in 2015. Probably one of the worst Michael Mann movies. Michael Mann, come on, Michael frickin' Mann. This is the guy who did like Heat and Last of the Mohicans and shit. He's an amazing filmmaker, Collateral as well. This movie was so boring. It was decently shot, decently edited, but it was also horribly acted, horribly derivative, and poorly written, and just boring and dull and slowly paced, and it was like 2.5 hours. I was just begging for this movie to end, and it took so long, and I hated this movie. Coming number 11 is The Huntsman. Yes, Winter's War, The Huntsman. I just did a review of this, so I'm going to leave a link down below. Check that review. I did a whole 10-minute review of this terrible-ass movie. Again, I like this movie as much as I liked Snow White and The Huntsman. It's not a good movie. It tries to do like an alternate take of Snow White. Well, this time it's just The Huntsman and the Ice Queen or something. And yeah, oh my god, yeah, Charlize Theron's back, and she's actually the only thing that's good about this movie. It's got bad action, cheesy effects, and horrible one-liners, a very forced romance with actually good actors. You got Emily Blunt in this movie, she's terrible. Chris Hemsworth, he's terrible. Jessica Chastain, she's terrible. Nick Frost, he's funny in other movies, but not this one. Check out my review, you'll see how much I didn't like this movie, and yeah, it's not good. Coming number 10 is Snow White and the Huntsman. Basically, everything I said about the Huntsman, I basically say about this movie. The only thing this movie gets the edge over the Huntsman, there's more Charlize Theron. That's really about it. Everything about this movie is equally shitty as the Huntsman movie. So yeah, not good. Coming number 9 is A Perfect Getaway. A Perfect Getaway is a movie that could actually work if it's just done right. If it's actually paced properly and told properly. Because the idea of this movie is very clever, and there is a very good twist in the movie I actually did not see coming. And the acting is okay at times. Sometimes it comes off a little goofy, but there are actually some pretty cool dynamics in the movie. And yeah, this movie actually has a big cast. It's got Mila Jovovich, it's got Steve Zahn, Chris Hemsworth, Teresa Palmer. You got also Timothy Olyphant. It's a pretty okay movie, but it's so long, it's kind of pointless at times, and the ending had a terrible payoff. The twist was good, but the payoff was kind of underwhelming, and I really just didn't give a shit. but the movie does have elements of greatness, like when they talk about the backstory of who the real bad people are. That was kind of interesting, and again, a twist. It's interesting. It's an interesting take, because you think who are the good guys are really the bad guys, and the bad guys are really the good guys, and I love how they turn it like that, and it's done well, but just other parts of this movie are just so boring and so drawn out, and some conversations these characters have go absolutely nowhere. The climax is completely underwhelming, and sometimes the acting is really good, but then sometimes it's so over the top. So this movie is a mess. There's a great movie in here, but all in all we got was a mess. Coming number 8 is In the Heart of the Sea. In the Heart of the Sea actually wasn't that bad of a movie. The Moby Dick part is actually the most underwhelming part of the movie, and that's what this movie is supposed to be about. The most interesting part is actually the survival, what the crew has to do to survive. That's pretty messed up, and is actually pretty darn interesting. And Chris Hemsworth is actually very good in this movie. This movie actually has moments of entertainment, and actually moments of pretty cool scenes, but it's still kind of boring and kind of overlong. I'll leave a link down below. I did a whole review of In the Heart of the Sea. You'll see my opinions about it. All in all, it's watchable. Coming number 7 is Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World, again, I don't hate a lot of MCU movies. I actually like all of the MCU movies except Iron Man 2. I hate Iron Man 2, but Thor the Dark World, it's a bit generic, and it's not at all as good as the first Thor movie or the Avengers or stuff, but it's still fun. Like, Chris Hemsworth is great as Thor, you got Tom Hiddleston as Loki, and all the characters are back. Just Kat Dennings is annoying as shit, so is Natalie Portman, but it's still a fun movie. Coming number 6 is Avengers Age of Ultron. I've talked to death about this movie. I did a whole review. Again, I'll leave that also on the link down below. It's a fun movie. Haters gotta stop hating. It's awesome. It's the Avengers. Coming number 5 is Thor, the first Thor, directed by Kenneth Branagh. Again, another movie I've talked to death about. I think Avengers Age of Ultron is a little bit of a better movie, but as a Chris Hemsworth movie, it gets the edge a bit. It's a really fun movie. I love the effects, love the world, I love Asgard, the world of the Frost Giants, the fish out of the water story, the comedy in this movie is really funny, and watching this movie just makes me realize Kenneth Branagh is not going to come back to do an MCU movie, and it just makes me sad. Coming number 4 is Star Trek. Star Trek, 2009, J.J. Abrams. Again, I love this movie. This is my second favorite Star Trek movie of all time. Can't wait for Star Trek Beyond. Chris Hemsworth is only in one scene in this movie, but the one scene he is in, he's fantastic. As Captain James T. Kirk's father, who saves the USS Enterprise within 7 minutes of being a captain. It's got one of the greatest openings to any Star Trek movie. Actually, one of the greatest openings to a science fiction film of all time. It's an amazing opening, and Chris Hemsworth is fantastic in the movie. And the movie itself isn't amazing. It's one of the best Star Trek movies out there. Coming number 3 is Rush. In Rush, this movie is a great Formula 1 racing movie. You got Niki Lauda, played by Daniel Bruhl, and James Hunt, played by Chris Hemsworth. I love racing movies if they're done right, and I love Ron Howard movies if they're done right, and this movie does both of those things right. The acting's great, the story's great, the racing scenes are great, it's well shot, the score's great, the editing, the pacing, all is well done, the direction, and of course, I love the dynamics of these characters. I love the rivalry, but also sort of the friendship. It's a great movie with some pretty dark stuff and some heavy stuff, but it's just done so well. Coming number 2 is The Cabin in the Woods, a very silly, over-the-top horror movie, and it's awesome. I won't spoil this movie if you haven't seen it yet. It's an homage to classic 80s horror movies, but it's also playing trumps of the new aged horror movies, and it's just awesome. It combines Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, and them two together just make something completely great. It's one of my favorite horror movies of all time, and it's my second favorite Chris Hemsworth movie. And my number 1 favorite Chris Hemsworth movie is, no shit, right? The Avengers. Yes, The Avengers, written and directed by Joss Whedon. This movie made the MCU even popular. Yes, Iron Man started the tropes and it was awesome. Hulk did its best and stuff, and we had the first Avenger, Captain America, and Thor. But the Avengers, when the Avengers came out and combined all these characters together, it was a smash hit, and it just works. The comedy's great, the action's great, the visuals are stunning, and seeing all these characters from all these movies come together and be a team, and how they work off each other, the dynamics of them, and how they work together as a team when they fight, it was just amazing. Everyone's fantastic. Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Tom Hiddleston, Samuel Jackson, even Colby Smith Smulders. Everyone is amazing. It's one of my favorite superhero movies. It's one of my favorite MCU movies. It was actually my favorite, but then Civil War came out. Chris Hemsworth was not in Civil War, sadly, but we'll see him again in Thor Ragnarok. And as till then, this is my #1 favorite Chris Hemsworth movie. So yeah, that's my ranking of all of Chris Hemsworth's movies, from my least favorite to my favorite. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with my ranking? If not, give me your ranking of all of Chris Hemsworth's movies, from your least favorite to your favorite. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you liked this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.